Greetings everybody, it's Thursday, 2 o'clock almost in the afternoon. It's time for Macro Talk 2. How are you doing today? It's a beautiful day here, fairly warm and a little breezy. Perfect weather to get out with the video camera this afternoon and shoot some footage is what I'm going to do. We're going to be shooting some footage indoors this morning. It's a completely different thing that we're going to try. Something very exciting, and it's going to be for the lazy bones out there that likes the idea of shooting living creatures with a macro lens, but doesn't want to get in a car or go outside. This is perfect for you. You have to go outside once to go get some stuff, and I'll explain that in a bit. We're talking about terraria. That's a plural of terrarium, I think, or terrarium. Yeah, terrarium. It's just a thing. I'll explain it. Don't worry about it. I was late last night. Worked late. Had a meeting with my mentor that went on till almost the middle of the night. And then when I got through, I thought, well, I'll set up the terrarium. There's some things I learned that I could do that I'll tell you about in a little bit. And I was going to do that last night. And I just had a quick peek through the camera. And that was it. I was stuck for 2 hours going all over the terrarium with my camera and zoom lens. I mean, it's incredible. Wait till you see it. It's great fun. So anyway, first of all, I want to thank some people very quickly. First is huge thanks to all of those who have contributed to the Gilloy Tripod Restoration fundraising drive, and to those who donated to the Seaford Field Monitor Acquisition Initiative. Those people were Klaus Gilloy and Susan Seaford. That's it so far. But if you want to throw your couple of bob in the hat, please consider doing so. It'll mean you'll be enshrined forever somewhere for something. But your life will get better almost instantly, and so will mine. So yeah, I'll put a note in the show note thing description where you can, if you want to, you can do that. That would be great. I mean, I can't chip in. I'm sorry, I'm out this round. But there you go. Thank you very much to Klaus and Susan. I appreciate you so much. Thanks to all of my Patreon subscribers. They're the best on the internet, no doubt about it. And I'm not exaggerating or kidding. They've supported my shenanigans since the get-go about 5 years ago when I thought I'd do one video and pack it in. So thank you for the many videos you have helped me make. I couldn't have done it without you. And by way of thank you, we're going to be doing something new with the Pazoom. It's a Pazoom, by the way, is a Patreon Zoom meeting. It's an actual meeting where we're face-to-face so that we can talk to one another. And anybody who is a paid-up member of Patreon is welcome to attend. And it is your place to learn macro in friendly surroundings amongst your pals. And these people are very fine people and very friendly. So you get to be part of the community as well. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. We do it every other Saturday, tomorrow being one of them. And we have a triple header. It was a double header 2 days ago. It's now a triple header on Saturday. The first head of the triple header is I'm going to give a sneak preview of the Leoa 25 versus Mitutoyo 5x objective review video that's coming up. It will be of interest to anybody who would like to know a little bit more about why I did this and what I found and what it means or doesn't mean. So if you have an interest in that, come to the Pazoom. Second thing is I'm going to get into a little bit of a creative retouching technique using Zerene's retouching engine. It's a more advanced video that may be... I think it'll be useful for anybody that uses Zerene. It'll be useful for anybody that uses the other one, so that you know that you should be using Zerene. But it'll be interesting and brief. I just want to show you one case that I worked on during the week that I thought was about the best example I've ever seen of needing to use all of these techniques. So we'll do that tomorrow, on Saturday. And then the third thing is going to be a new feature, and I haven't named it yet. But it's going to be a beginner's feature that will happen about once a month, and it will involve a real life beginner. Now, that's almost never going to be a beginning photographer, not that it couldn't be, but it's almost always going to be somebody who's been doing photography but wants to transition to high magnification studio work. That's what we're going to focus on in this feature. And our volunteer is Susan Seaford, who is going to, I've been helping her build a rig. We're getting ready to start on the meat of the lessons. And what we'll do is once a month, we'll check in with Susan. We'll look at the rig, we'll talk about what she's done, what she's added, what she's taken away, what she likes, what she doesn't, what's going well, what isn't. We'll look at some pictures, we'll hear from Susan, and we'll have guest contributors as well. That may be Graham Carey from the UK, who's one of the old timers who has, not an old timer as in an old person. He's been contributing to this non-existent feature for years now. He will show us everything that he does new, so we'll have him continue to do that, and we'll have other newcomers who want to show us what they've done and ask questions can also come and do the same thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to learn macro, if you want to learn how to do it right, and if you want to learn it from people who are learning it from us, Patreon. Go to Patreon, sign up. It'll be worth your, whatever it is, $10 a month, $20 a month, $200 a month. I'll take anything, but yeah, come and join. If enough people join, I'll add another Pazoom. I can add 2 more Pazooms. I can do a Pazoom every weekend. Patrick, just hold on now. Patrick is my conscience when it comes to scheduling, and his blood pressure just went through the roof. But yeah, extra Pazooms. If I had enough people supporting me that I didn't have to do other stuff on the weekend, I'd do a Pazoom. I surely would. Okay, that's it. Next week, more video stuff. I'm going to do a fun one on Tuesday. It's going to be what's in my video bag, because I emptied it out the other day when I was out shooting video, and I thought, oh, that's unusual to put that in the bag. I wonder if people would find that useful. So I've emptied my bag out on the floor and took a picture of it, and we'll talk about it for an hour. We'll think of other things to talk about. And then on Thursday, something else. I have no idea what. That's just the way it is. And then that's it for announcements. I hope you are working on your video submission. This will help today if you're not. For your competition that ends at the end of February, the end of this month. Did I say it was February the 1st? It's February Fool's Day today. Every February, that is. And then, are you also working on your lens hood for the Tangent and Chamfer Hour, which is coming up in 2 weeks already? Did you know that? The 2nd edition. It's after the 2nd Pazoom of the month, which is not next weekend, but the one after, 2 weeks from now. Terraria. Would you like to see my notes on the subject of Terraria? I can give you a copy of them if you like. They will prove not very helpful. I am a newcomer to Terraria, and the reason I have one was just a lucky confluence of stuff happening. I was overheard by my son complaining and whining about not getting any good footage when I was out photographing ants the other day. And he said, well, you should just chuck some ants in your terrarium. And I said, well, what's a terrarium? And he went on to tell me. It's a see-through box full of mud and things like that. So I built one, and I'm going to show it to you and introduce you to it, and explain what it's for and what it does and how amazing it is and how easy it is to make. It's a bit tougher than I may have portrayed in that brief description. But for a photographer who does macro photography, this is a hidden gem. I must admit, in all my years of doing this, this never occurred to me. And I have spent many hours under the microscope following things around and looking at things in drops of water. But the stuff you're going to see in a terrarium like this, the stuff you're going to see in this one, if I have any luck finding it again, will blow your socks off. So what a terrarium is, I'm gonna disconnect my phone camera. Let me show you why. This is what it's currently taking pictures of. Oh, it's odd, isn't it? I probably ought to try to fix that. let me see if there's a way I can do it without breaking it. No, I'll tell you what. I'll do that when you're not looking. That was odd. Maybe taking it off and putting it back on will fix it. So I'm going to get it so that I can show you the system from afar. I had another camera set up, but I don't have a long enough cable. Bear with me. I'm going to have to move the microphone too. You would think after this number of videos, we'd be pretty slick and professional. Yeah, you'd think, wouldn't you? Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the other camera. Here we go. All right, this is a temporarily repaired tripod, an out of focus one at that. I made something in the shop that I don't think is going to last. I don't know quite how you, you know what, I just remembered I've got it on that, that other phone app that I have to control it from there. So hold on just a second. It'll be a bit wobbly till I get that fixed. I don't know where the focus button is. Did that focus? Yeah, there you go. All right, so that is my camera, my Z8 with the macro cine lens, which we're going to be talking about, the 100mm Laowa lens that is superb for this kind of thing. And there is the terrarium. It went dark, didn't it? If it looks to you like it's a small plastic house, that is because it is a small plastic house. I found 2 of them at the thrift shop. Let me see if I can get even further back so that you can see it. No, the camera's in the way every which way I go. You get the idea. It's a plastic box with a house-shaped roof lid on it. Let me switch back for a second, and that is where the action happens. What you do is you fill that thing with substrate, and you just go out into nature. Don't go to somebody's garden unless you have permission, which, yeah, it would be problematic to just go and start ripping up sod and moss out of gardens. So do it out of public areas where you're allowed to do it. And what you do is, into your box, and it can be round or square. It needs to be fairly tall, and I'll explain why. It needs to have a fair amount of volume to it as well. You wonder why I'm leaning like this? I thought you'd ask eventually, so I can put the phone back. Hang on. Oh, dearie me. I'm a bit old for this reaching. There. Does that do better? Oh, I almost knocked my camera off the table. You want to see a grown man cry? My tripod leg's in the way. Okay, so I'm going to now show you again where the camera is now. No, it's still doing oddly. Hang on a sec. No, you can't change it when you're on the fly. Okay, well, not to worry. Hang on a sec. I'm going to try it anyway. This will be so nifty if I can. Oh, look at this. This is also a tutorial on OBS today. There you go. That's better. So now you know. That's what we're looking at through the iPhone. And it's pretty impressive. I mean, the amount of detail and resolution. It's a little bit out of focus right now. Maybe I can press that button again and it'll help. Nope, didn't seem to. Oh, there's actually a slider for doing that. Anyway, the point of the thing is, these are ecosystems that can be maintained closed with no work. Is my sound okay, by the way? Who's there? Alistair. Is it okay? Can you hear me? I think you'd have rung me by now if you couldn't, but just to be sure. So the system consists of everything that life needs to sustain itself in an enclosed chamber. The only thing you have to add is you have to add enough warmth to keep everything's metabolism going, and sunlight. Sunlight is the fuel that drives this whole engine. The thing is sealed. That's the amazing thing. The house, which I put the stuff in, I'll tell you about that in a second, is then sealed with sticky tape all the way around it so that no air gets in or out. And you immediately are thinking, well, surely everything will suffocate and die. Well, no, it won't, because if you've got sufficient material in there of the right kind, namely something to produce oxygen, so a green photosynthesizing chlorophyll-filled species of moss or grass or whatever you can find that will grow in there. And the reason that moss is so good is it's able to recycle the water very efficiently. Then you're going to add some mud, which will give a lot of the trace elements that your objects are going to need, but it'll also import most of your animals. So will the moss. So you just take your clear box, you dump in some gravel, some very fine gravel, just to stop the top layer from rotting, which it will if it stays too wet. So go ahead and put some gravel in, then dump in some earth. Potting soil is very good. It's got lots of nutrients in it. Then put in some charcoal. Actually put the charcoal in before, on the in between those two layers. Granulated charcoal is good. I think you can powder charcoal too, but I'm not sure I'd do that. Just granulate it, it's fine. And that's to absorb poisonous stuff and keep the thing fresh. And then water. You add water until it's moist. Now, I've added enough water to make mine into a bit of a swamp, so I'm going to add some dry potting soil this afternoon and more moss. And then seal it and put it in the sun. And what will happen is the plants won't know anything's happened, because plants are basically quite stupid, though my son would beg to differ on that, because he talks to his and they apparently talk back to him. No comment. So, you know, they're pretty dumb, and they'll just keep doing what they've always done when you stick them in this box. And the animals, they're not dumb, but they have very short memories. So they probably get used to the fact they're living in a box, except for the ones that fly, because there are some in my box that fly. And they're probably going to remember the world as being slightly bigger than it was this morning. Yeah, it'll probably feel a bit restrictive to them when they keep bumping into things. Did you read that book called The Dome by Stephen King? Same idea, but for a mosquito. Anyhow, the point is that the proto-insects in there, the columbola, the springtail things, the amoebas, the tardigrades, the water bears, all of the things that live in there, and you are going to be blown away by the incredible range and variety of things that are to be found in something like this. They're already there. When you rip the stuff up off the ground and dump it in the thing, it's teeming with life, and it just self-sustains. Somebody sent me a picture during the last Pazoom where the terrarium that has lived the longest with its bottle sealed was 50 years old now. 50 years it's stayed alive without getting a breath of fresh air. It must stink in there, but there you go. And it just recycles its own waste. It cleans up its own waste gases. In fact, the plants use the animals' waste gases, and the animals breathe the plants' waste gases. So apparently you don't have to do anything but stick it in the sun, which is what my son told me to do with my cactus, and even that doesn't appear to be enough to keep it alive. So I don't know if this is going to work. But I'm more interested in this is a photography tool, and that's what I want to talk about now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over there to the big camera, and I should have thought of this next thing earlier. I won't be able to see as well as you because you'll have the big screen, but that'll just be my cross to bear, won't it? And I'll move the microphone first, so you may hear some bumpy noises, but I couldn't figure out another way. I've got another microphone, but the machine I've got only allows one of them to be used at a time. I might have to talk a bit quieter because it's getting right in my face. Can you still hear me? Alistair will make a noise, I think, if you can. Yeah. There. Now I'm going to switch cameras too. If you can't, Alistair, give me a loud and clear. Okay, good, excellent, fantastic, and super. Then let's go to the big camera and see if it's turned on. It's not. It actually, there we go. It should be on now. All right, perfect. Now, everything that I told you about when we were doing talking about the outdoor fated ant video is important here as well. But the difference here is your scales are much smaller. Your movements are going to be much shorter. In other words, your subjects aren't wandering all over creation. And you can practice the techniques of using follow focus and using the aperture on your lens, if you have a cine type lens, to great effect. You can't see what I can see on the back of my camera. Because it strips that out. I was going to give you a demonstration of how focus peaking is helpful in setting the aperture. I wonder if I could borrow the phone again for a second. I'm going to do that. Oh, I've got a new table. I'm going to tell you a very brief story, and I'll show you the table while I'm doing it. Let me switch cameras one more time. So there is the table right there. You can see a corner of it. It's a nifty table because if you touch the top of it, it springs up, the top does, and forms a bench, a working bench, and that's what this whole thing is on. That bit is normally down at the bottom as a coffee table. I put the coffee table in the boot of my car, and the lid popped up, and it took me forever to get it out of the car. Just a warning if you ever buy one of these things. What was I going to show you? The back of the camera. So look at this. This is how the focus peaking is so useful in a situation like this. I wanted the intro screen to be this field of moss with the little sporangiophytes. What are they called? Something like that. I wanted them to be in focus. Now, you're used to looking at focus peaking, so when I turn the focus ring, you can see my plane of focus moves forwards and backwards, which is fine, as expected. But here's the cool part: if you're using your cine camera, you also have an aperture ring, and as I turn the aperture to the right and close down the hole in the lens, the depth of field starts to get bigger, and see how the band of blue gets larger and larger. Also, the image is going to get softer and softer as you start to get into diffraction territory. But it is a very, very useful way to maximize your field of view, your depth of field for the right amount of light. Now, I'll switch this back before you get seasick, sorry. There we go. So the idea being you need to balance every time I move, I'm hitting this leg. I'm doing something wrong. So you need to balance changing your depth of field to give you more depth of field so you can see more in focus with the available light. But you also have to use the aperture with a very keen mind to the depth of field if you're adjusting aperture for the available light. In other words, you need to be thinking three-dimensionally when you're doing this, and you need to be doing it on the fly because you're also going to be focusing. I always thought a follow focus device, something that would allow you to manipulate this ring from a different position where you could hold a device that would allow you to change the focus smoothly, would be a luxury. I'm beginning to think it would be a necessity if you were going to do a lot of this, because your hands are really busy when you're working doing this video stuff. So if you were to build a terrarium and you wanted to explore the thing, there are a couple of things that you would need to do. One is you'd need to get yourself some type of a fluid head tripod, something that moves like that. This is an old Manfrotto Bogan head that I found in a thrift shop and repurposed. Well, no, didn't repurpose it because I'm using it for what it's made for. I fixed it. It was broken. And yeah, it's got a lovely smooth movement in the pan and tilt directions. So you need that. You need lights. You need to be able to put decent light, diffused light. Bit big, that the field of view is a little small. I've just got a couple of LED panels that I have diffusion layers on, mylar, fairly close in as well. And you also need to get something called snot. There's another name for it, spit. Yeah, it's called snot or spit, and you can get it from a diving shop or where they sell eyeglasses, and it's an anti-fogging stuff. Actually, you don't need to get any anti-fogging stuff. You can just do what I did, which is take a bar of soap and rub the soap on the inside of the plastic, and just leave a film on there and then rub it until it disappears. That'll leave a microscopic coating, and it absolutely stops the bubbles from forming, the drops from forming. And it allows you to shoot video through any of the walls. Now you can see down lower the wall is fogging up a little and there are drops at the bottom. That's hard to shoot through. But the top is easier to shoot through, and it's actually right at about the minimum focus distance for this setup. So it's a great place to put the end of the camera. Now, when you're doing this, you're going to be trying to manipulate the field of view in 3 dimensions, left, right, up and down, using your tripod head, while at the same time maintaining focus, anticipating the movement of your subject, and setting the aperture continuously to give you the right balance of exposure and depth of field. If that sounds like rather a lot of stuff to do at once, that's only because it is a lot of stuff to do at once and extremely difficult to do well. So what I would recommend, and what I ended up doing last night, was pretty much finding an interesting spot. And we're going to find one together, because I have not had a chance today to look around my terrarium and see what's happening. We'll pick a spot. I will telepathically count the hands that are pointing to a particular area. Do you like the one with the clovers on it? Let's start there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the things I found last night. Well, actually, the box was faced the other way, so I might have to turn it around. But when you get to the area that you're interested in, use your camera's digital zoom. Please work. Yes, yes. Use the digital zoom to get in close enough to see what you're looking at, and just take your time. And what looks like it's very small and far away now on this shot, when you get it into Premiere or whatever editor you're using, you can blow this up. And oh, there's something moving, isn't there? You saw that before I did. I thought I saw something moving. Maybe that was my imagination. No, I thought I saw a beetle or something scuttle by. Anyway, once you get it into the editor, you're going to be able to change the size of the image at will, and slow it up, speed it down, all that kind of thing. And you can see that the quality of the image, even though I'm shooting through plastic, is really astonishingly good. And This is, of course, a 2 times magnification lens, this 100 millimeter. I'm not sure I would want to do this with much less than 100 millimeters. I've been doing it a little bit with the 200 millimeter micro Nikkor, and it's difficult to do. This is a much easier lens to use because of your control of the aperture. This is moss, by the way, but I did find a slime mold in here, and I'll see if I can find that as well. This is such a huge amount of territory. I don't know why it's not letting me zoom in any more than that, but I might have to move the terrarium back towards the camera so we can see stuff. Most of the stuff in here is very small, but I saw one thing last night. If I can find it, I'll show it to you. It had me laughing out loud at 1 o'clock in the morning. I found a brown leaf that had about 100 drops of water on it. It was water that I guess had condensed and dribbled down onto the leaf, and the drops were just sitting there, perfectly formed, a field of drops. And I saw something move in the field of water drops, and I zoomed in. I believe that might be them. I zoomed in and I saw something moving, and you may be able to see it. I'm going to let go of the camera so it is not shaking at all. You may be able to see it. I don't know if you can see my arrow, but in here is where the water drops are, I believe. But in every water drop, there was one animal, and I don't know what it was, but it was jumping around in the water, flapping its fins or its wings like it was a cheerleader. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen, and there were hundreds of them, but each one had its own drop of water. I've never heard of such a thing. Have you? I mean, that's a first for me, and hysterical to watch. You know what? I've got the footage from last evening. I'll try to post that somewhere. But anyway, the fun of this is to just explore, and you don't have to go far. You can just explore in one corner, like down here. It would be the place to look for tardigrades in the moisture that's on all of this green vegetation. Let's lighten it up a little bit. I love this lens. Boy, it is so comfortable to use once you get used to it. Anything that you put in here, of course, will be in here for you to look at. Other stuff other than what accidentally gets brought in. But the exciting stuff is what's already here. There are things in here that look like segmented snakes that, if I can find one, I'll show it to you, that were slithering around like crazy last night. I don't know what they were hunting, but it was something else to behold. But the water droplet creatures were the funniest. I don't know what those things are. Actually, let me just make that a blanket disclaimer. I don't know what any of this stuff is. It's really like visiting an alien planet, and a beautiful one at that. And as much fun as it is to do during the day when the sun's out, we've got a reflection that's not very helpful there. But when you do this same thing at night in a dark room, it becomes even more captivating. And it's I strongly urge you to give it a try. You don't need anything but mud, and that might be the slime mold I thought I saw. Hard to say. No, probably not. But I imagine that there's all kinds of stuff in here that I may not see for weeks. It's probably had a bit of a fright and is hiding out. But even the water drops on the glass make for fascinating pictures when you see them. I'll just keep panning around until we see something. But this is good practice for pulling focus, so that you can get used to turning the focus knob at the right speed to get your next subject in focus by the time you get there. There's a lot of practice goes into this, and there's an absolutely endless variety of life to look at, and it is bewildering how much stuff there is. Now, another thing that you could do if you're lucky enough to have a decent microscope on a boom stand, which I did the other day, is put my stereo microscope down in the quagmire and look at this stuff very close up. That's even more impressive. And yeah, you've got to try it, because it's, as always is the case, nothing spectacular is going to pop out and make itself visible when I'm doing this live. That would be against the laws of nature. Has anybody ever done a terrarium as a photographer and experienced this? Let me know if you have in the show notes. I mean in the chat, because I'd like to know if you've got any tricks. Now, I know that Allan told me that putting a few pieces of oatmeal, rolled oats, into something like this would encourage slime molds. Is that thing moving? It's hard to say. That thing with what looks like an eye. Last night I would look at stuff, look at that, it's like looking up a valley and past the lake to the mountains. It's amazing. Now tell me that doesn't look like something out of a science fiction movie. What in the world is that thing at the bottom that looks like a fish? It can't be a fish, it's too big. I'd have noticed it. The way I do it is to just slowly move around and look for things to move. When things move, your eye will catch it, and then you can zoom in on them. And yeah, don't be looking for recognizable shapes, because most of the stuff you see is not recognizable. I was confusing plants and animals last night because the plants turned out to be worms, and the animals were fungus. Anyway, pretty impressive. I think you'd agree. This is a terrarium that got absolutely no preparation from me, no prior work to figure out what I was doing. I just did the bare minimum, and what I have is a lifetime of exploration here. There's a columbola right in the middle of the field, on that green leaf to the right of the red thing that's looking at it, probably to eat it. See him grazing? Is it in the middle of your field too? No, it's a little bit over to the right of where I've... If you... let me see if I can show you with a pointer. It's very small. If you look at the end of the... Hang on. Sorry about the bumpiness there. I'm trying to get it in the middle. If you look at... It's right there, that brown spot. There's no way to zoom in on that thing, I don't think. No, I don't think so. Well, that's a shame. But anyway, through the camera, it's clearly a springtail, a globular springtail on that leaf, and it's moving around and eating. So you would take the footage and then take it into the computer and take a look at it. In fact, we might do that. Let me just record what we're looking at here. When you record, it drops back to lower magnification, and I just try to keep my hands off it as much as possible while it's recording, and just let the action unfold. And that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm just going to leave it sitting here while we talk for a few minutes, and then that's a great view of that bit of forest land there. And then we'll very quickly, I'll see if it's possible for me to download that card to the computer, and I'll put it in Premiere and blow it up and show you just how high resolution that you can get, and how cool the footage looks. So I'm going to pause for a minute and look at the chat and see if anybody else has done this and has any experience with it. I'm going to move my microphone again. Sorry about that. I didn't want to risk going with a... Whoops, I just moved the camera again. I didn't want to risk going with something I was unfamiliar with. Another... I hope you can see my pointer. If you can, that is also a springtail that just wandered out of the moss to look around. I'm pretty sure he did anyway. At the corner of my eye, I caught him moving. There's something else moving in front of him. Well, you literally just get sucked into this, and you can't stop looking and trying to figure out what you're looking at. It's a great way to learn too. There's something in that moss that looks alive. It just pulsated a little bit. You'll notice that sometimes you'll see slime trails on the walls as a snail or a slug wanders off looking for a way to escape. Yeah, I strongly recommend this as a tremendous way to gather some footage that would be otherwise virtually impossible to do in the field. I mean, you could do it, but it would be exhausting to lie out in the muck for hours doing this, but you can do it at your desk while you're doing other things. Isn't that beautiful? And some of the vistas, again, when you're immersed in it at night and you're not distracted by anything else going on, you really see the grandeur of it all. That, you know, a big tablespoonful of mud is crawling with fascinating life forms that I've never seen before. What other way could you experience something like that? It's like arriving from Mars on the Serengeti and just being blown away by the sheer number of unfamiliar creatures that are milling around. And that's what this is all about. It's the unfamiliar, and so exciting to look at. I think there's something orange at the bottom of the screen that is moving into field of view. I might reposition if it is. Orange things are always interesting to look at. I can see the antennae on that columbola at where the forest opens out into the mud field. I'm going to look around a bit longer. Let's see. No, we're at approaching 40 minutes. So let me see if there's any questions first. Let me see. Now let me go back up to the top. That might be from yesterday. It was. I was just reading the notes of Joseph helping me fix my phone the other day, which went completely AWOL on me during one of these. But yeah, thanks to Joseph, we got it working again. So that was good. Anyway, questions I'm looking for. And let me see. Zeno wonders, I wonder what black light might reveal in the terrarium. Well, I'll tell you what, why don't you just stop wondering and let's look. I'm going to go on radio silence for a minute. Well, I'll point the microphone that way. And I'm going to do just exactly what Zeno suggested. I'm going to turn out that light and put on some black light. I don't see much happening. Oh dear, it's a bit glary. I wonder if maybe, you know, there's a possibility that the plastic of this house is blocking the UV. That never occurred to me. Maybe cutting a little porthole in it and put a piece of band gap glass in there might do it. Yeah, I need to think about that. But yeah, that's a shame. I'll try it with the lid off later. I think I'm not going for a world record on how long my terrarium can go without being opened. So I'll pop the lid off and give it a try, just in case there is anything, happily fluorescing in there. That would be interesting to see. I'm going to move the camera because I think that the scene is going to change constantly. It doesn't matter where you look, things will wander through and wander back out again all the time. So let me just randomly pick another spot and we'll see what else we can find. Let's look for something over on the distant horizon. There's an interesting plant over there. No, let's go to this escarpment. This was interesting last night. That my focal plane is right on the peak here in the middle, this peak, and there's something going on right there, I think. It's beautiful, and it's very easy, by the way, to put something behind the glass to make a beautiful out of focus background, and it can be something as silly as I've got a green business card here. I mean, I've never done this. I'm just thinking. Well, that's a bit too close. Yeah, that experiment didn't work. But last night, light was bouncing off things. Oh, I know what it was. I had a square prism, a dichroic mirror prism thing out of a projector. And I was shining light, and it was getting refracted off the plastic of the house, and just casting these rainbows over the scene, and it was remarkable. If you're even remotely artistic or creative, you've got to try this, because it's mind-blowing. It's like visiting another planet for an hour and then coming back. You feel so. You want to tell people, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, you probably shouldn't tell people, but that's the overwhelming reaction I got to spending a few hours exploring this. Was I wanted to show people the footage. I wanted to talk about what was in here, and and anybody can do this at any time of year. You don't need a macro cine lens. Unless you're planning on shooting video that you want to show people, publicly, then you probably would want to have a lens that would allow you to change focus and change depth of field fluidly. That's a slug, by the way, I'm pretty sure. But you could do this with any macro lens that you have, and if you were just planning on taking pictures, then of course, just whatever system you have, and you could use a shorter focal length lens. I have not yet, but I am going to try this with the Leiwa 25, with the Mitutoyo 5, and if I can get a stable enough rig, maybe even with 10 times magnification, and see if I can get anything useful from that. I think 5 is going to probably be the realistic limit because of depth of field and the weight of the system, because you don't want your camera moving around. And it's hard to know what to tell people about this, because it's like trying to describe to an alien what the world looks like in 10 words or less. I mean, what do you start with? Your favorite football team, or food, or the weather? I mean, there's so much in here to see and get excited about, and you will get excited about it unless you are in fact a block of granite that was smuggled into the human race. If you have a spark of of wonder in you, you'll get into this. It is a fun way to spend a bit of time. And I would dare say, I don't know because I haven't done it yet, that every time you come back to your terrarium, it will be a different planet. It will change and grow and mature as some things live and other things get consumed. This is one of the most interesting and exciting discoveries for photography that I've had the pleasure of being turned on to in a long time. I mean, I love everything about macro, but this is a real treat, a real surprise to me, and I urge you to try it. Let's see if there are any questions or comments. So I'll report back on the black light and see if there's anything. I have a feeling probably not. A lot of the stuff that has evolved fluorescence it uses it as a marker for pollinators, that type of thing. I've not come across a lot of very small things that fluoresce, but maybe they do. Maybe I just haven't seen them. I'll have to do a bit of research on that. That's one thing. Figuring out what you're looking at is a major academic challenge, because unlike with insects and other families and groups, there's not a lot written about a lot of this stuff, and what is written is in a language that it makes very little sense if you didn't get a degree in biology science. I mean, it's really complicated stuff, and following what they're talking about to identify something by body parts which have names you probably never heard of, it's a bit challenging. If you don't want to go to the trouble of rigging an overhead thing, which I did in just a few minutes this morning, as you can tell because it's junky, but you can simply do this with your camera sitting on the table. You don't need to have a stand or anything. You just need to not bump it too much, and it will give you cool scenes. In fact, let's do that. I'm going to stop the recording. Now we're back to regular. Let's see if it'll let me zoom in. It won't, but I'm going to move the camera in to show you what it looks like at the minimum focus distance. And I'm moving the microphone too, so sorry about this. I'm just going to leave it running while I take it off the tripod. So actually, no, it'd probably be more useful for you to witness that in case I drop it. Then you'd have a good laugh. Let me see. Just amuse yourselves for a second while I'm trying to position the phone, and then I'll switch to that camera. So here we go. There. That was pretty slick, wasn't it? So this is the rig. When you take your big heavy camera and lens off a tripod like this, get it balanced so that if you accidentally let go of it, it doesn't fall off. It just sits there. And then lock your two axes with your whatever knobs you have. Loosen the quick release plate and slide your camera and lens out. Now, whenever I use this lens, I use it on a rail like that. There's a reason for that, is that I want the unit to be controlled as a unit, and I don't want the camera to take the weight of the lens in its entirety on the flange. So this allows me to just connect it at the front of the lens and on the camera, and it's a very stable base, and it's a great handle for carrying around in the outdoors, going from spot to spot. So what I would do to use this without a tripod, I don't recommend doing this because it takes away a lot of your control, but That just bonked me right on the head there. Let me move this out of the way so I don't break it any further. All right, and then we'll take the camera and just position it wherever is comfortable on a flat surface, and move the terrarium as much as possible rather than the camera. Now you can see by looking at it, you can't see because you can't see diddly from where I had the camera. Sorry about that. I'm going to switch back to the camera as soon as you've seen. Yep, this is not working very well. Let me just show you here. I've got the camera on the table and it's pointed too low. It's only looking at the edge of the glass there. So your options are to move the camera or move the terrarium. As much as possible, I would move the terrarium. You want the camera to be still and flat. If you go trying to lift up the front end on something, it'll make the whole thing less stable and more prone to move. Because remember, you're going to be using the focus ring. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the terrarium off my stand that I made and show that to you really quickly so as you can see what I did. I wanted to be able to tip the terrarium forward yet still be able to shoot with it. So I took a piece of foam, 2 pieces of foam. Here they are. One of them is doubled over. No, that's a bit close, sorry. One of them is doubled over and partially cut and folded so it forms a slope like that. Now you can't see that, sorry. And then the bottom one has a groove cut in it to accept the edge of the terrarium so it won't slide. Quite brilliant, I thought. And then without it, the terrarium is just flat, and that's not going to be high enough, is it? No. Okay, so plan B, I'm going to, after all, use some foam. So yeah, I'll do it. How can I do this one-handed though? I don't know. What you don't want to do is accidentally throw your terrarium to the ground. I am fairly sure. Was there much sound coming out of my right ear as I was talking then? Probably not. Probably none. Sorry. There. If my camera crew was not off today, as they are every Thursday, in fact, as they are every day, because I don't have one, yeah, things would be better. I'm going to switch over to the camera the last few minutes and answer any questions and show you what we've got from down low. So let me do that now before you get seasick from this. Sorry about the jumpy footage. Now what I'm going to do is try to tip the camera, raise it up a little bit after all and tip it down a bit. And let's see if we can find a nice clear view. And I'm now as close to the terrarium as I can get, and just focus through the wall as if it wasn't there, and you'll be able to get most of what you're looking at in fairly good focus. I'm going to remove the rail. Sorry about this. It's hindering me. It normally helps, but it is not helping here. That noise is me unscrewing the thing by hand, and it's not coming off. Okay, just chat amongst yourselves. There. There is the rail. Out of focus as all get out. I made an error, and I'm going to correct it right now. I said to somebody who asked, does this lens focus breathe? I said no, it does not. That was inaccurate. This lens does focus breathe. I don't know why I would have said that, other than I maybe read it or heard it somewhere, but it does focus breathe, as in when you change focus there is a subtle change in the size of the field, which makes you think you're getting closer and further away. So that is now corrected. Oh, look at that mushroom. I think that's a mushroom. Is it a mushroom? This is the kind of thing. I didn't see that yesterday, so let me see if I can get a better still a picture of that. What is that black thing with eyes at the top of the... Who knows? Let's get closer. Yeah, it is... I'm going to change the aperture to let more light in. We'll get a shallower depth of field. But look at that thing with the white blobs on it that are moving like an anemone. How strange. You'll say how strange a lot. I wish I could find those cheerleaders in the water droplets. That is a slug, possibly, or a manatee, a very small manatee. Hard to tell. This is absolutely enthralling to oh, what's this, a field of bryophytes or something. Yeah, unfortunately there's a lot more water vapor on the wall than I was expecting. Maybe if I go through the roof again, not go through the roof in a bad way, but let's see if I can find those water droplets in the last couple of seconds. Those of you who are saying, yeah, that boy shouldn't have taken that off the tripod is the problem, you're right. I should not have taken it off the tripod, but this is a good demonstration of why you would leave it on the tripod. All right, is there anybody who has sat through some portion of the last hour and been uninspired to build a terrarium? Because you need to have your pulse checked to make sure you're completely alive. I think that is the most exciting thing that you can do for 99 cents worth of plastic and a bucket full of mud. It's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And I'm so enthralled by it. Oh, you can't hear a thing, I'll bet. Sorry about that. I am so enthralled by this whole prospect of doing this that I'm tempted to do a terrarium competition at the end of the year. Yeah, to give everybody a chance to make one and look at it for a while and see what you can find and maybe take a series of pictures that show off the weirdness of these things. Anyway, let's see if there's any comments from anybody. Nope. Did everybody leave? Am I the only person here? It's possible. It's happened before. No, everybody's still here. And where are the bugs, says Jacques, being negative, I would have to say, Jacques. They're in there. They're just very, very small. I mean, they are tiny. You would need a 5 times magnifier to see much of the body parts of the proto-insects. But the thing is, on the footage that I captured there, it'll all be visible. You'll see it all quite clearly. So it's a matter of trusting that you'll be collecting the video in the highest possible resolution and in focus, and then editing that into your footage or your photographs, or just start with a higher power, a higher magnification system. But it's a good point. It's kind of one of those you had to be there things, but take my word for it. I don't get excited about, well, I do get excited about stuff like this, don't I? So that's probably not a good example. Try it. Try it. You'll love it. Are you going to come to the Pazoom on Saturday? It's going to be a blast. I was thinking of making it a fancy dress Pazoom, but I thought that was ridiculous, so we're not going to do that. It'll just be a regular Zoom, 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, and it'll go until noon o'clock on Saturday lunchtime. Yeah. And we are going to have fun. We're going to check out Susan's new rig and find out what's worked, what hasn't. And we've got a couple of other folks that have been in touch who are also going to bring some pictures to show us what they've been up to. So that's about it. We're out of time, and I hope that was fun for you. I really enjoy this stuff, and I think you will too if you give it a try. If you have kids or grandkids, this is for them. Get the necessary cables to hook your TV up to the camera, and get a nice big picture, and just start looking for stuff. You'll find water bears, the most amazing creatures to watch gambling about in the moss. You'll find them in there. I found some last night. I'll try to post some of the pictures and video as I acquire it over on Patreon. Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming. If you wouldn't mind leaving me a like, that helps. And one piece of good news, an announcement of sorts. Two announcements. The first is I think that I am going to become an affiliate with B&H, which will be huge for me because you all shop at B&H and frequently ask me why I'm not an affiliate. But I completed the application this morning and it looked good, so we'll just wait and see. But if that's the case, that will be huge. And the second announcement was, if you've had trouble with the Walls app, with getting the Walls app fixed on your phone, throw away the old one. Get rid of any reference to the Walls app that you currently have. Then go through the process again. Search for www.walls-app.com, and when you find it, do what it says about linking to your desktop, and that will put a new link that will work. The old links won't work. They'll take you to Hades, I think, something like that. So don't go there. Just throw them away, get a new one. Thank you to Amy and to Alistair and to Bud for all you do in keeping the riffraff at bay. If any ever showed up, you would keep them at bay, I know it. And thank you all for coming and being part of what we do twice a week here. If you have particular interests, things that you want me to talk about, things that you want me to explain, or things you want me to demonstrate, anything like that, please let me know. Let me know through the Walls app, or let me know during a live stream, because I will do whatever it is you guys want. That's why I'm here. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be doing this. No, I wouldn't. If it was just me, I wouldn't be doing it. I probably would be doing it. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, stay safe and be well. Catch you later.